Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Schiff. Here. Mr. Franco.
I'm here.
Mr. Cabrera.
I'm here. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, the notice requirements have been satisfied as to the time, place, and date of holding said meeting by posting notice on the bulletin board here in Borough Hall and by mailing and emailing same to the Herald of Cape May County and the Press of Atlantic City on October 13th, 2021. In the event of an emergency, your emergency exit is your back right, just below the exit sign, or your front left or our front right. This meeting is being shown live here this morning on Facebook and also on the borough's YouTube channel. We also have a conference line here sitting up with us on the dais. And if anyone that is watching the live stream and you want to call in and ask a question, you're going to dial 888-363-4734. And when prompted, you're going to enter the access code 969-902-0, followed by the pound or the hashtag. If you watch the recorded version, you're welcome to reach out to our clerk at wildwoodcrest.org, or you may call her directly at 609-729-8040. We have no ordinances on the agenda here today. Madam Clerk, may we have the resolutions, please?
Yes, sir. The first is canceling erroneous sewer rents in the amount of $124 for property located at 7201 Seaview Avenue.
Motion.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing release of escrow funds for permit number SO21-0204 in the amount of $741.25.
Motion.
I will second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is canceling bond ordinance improvement authorization balances.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is designating trick-or-treat hours on October 31st, 2022 from 5 to 7.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing increase of certification in the amount of $15,000 to Prime Point LLC for payroll, time and labor, and HMRS services for calendar year 2022.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing the borough to cancel the grant receivables and appropriations.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing release of escrow funds for zoning board application number ZB-21-02-01 in the amount of $1,162.50.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Next is authorizing grant application submission for the State of New Jersey Board of Public Utilities Clean Fleet Electric Vehicle Incentive Program Tourism Grant -22 ETV 026.
Motion.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Lastly is authorizing Borough Engineer work order for Preston Park improvements Phase 1 at the not-to-exceed sum of $20,000.
I will motion.
I'll second.
It has been moved and seconded that the foregoing resolution be adopted. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
No.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes.
Motion that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid.
Second that?
It has been moved and seconded that all bills properly authorized as submitted be paid. Roll call. Mr. Schiff.
Yes.
Mr. Franco.
Yes.
Mr. Cabrera.
Yes. Okay, so we,
Thank
thank
You're
you.
welcome.
We have a presentation from Kara today. sorry I don't know your names, but I know we have a agenda item.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Claire Galliano from the Coalition Against Rape and Abuse. Everyone knows our organization is CARA. And every month, every October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Every April is Sexual Violence Awareness Month. And what we do during the year is do a special acknowledgement to those individuals that are partners of ours that go above and beyond. And this year, we'd like to take a moment to honor Detective Jim Collins because of his exceptional and exemplary efforts that he put towards an individual client of ours that went missing. And in our business with domestic and sexual violence, when someone goes missing, you know what the outcome normally is. And so this gentleman, I called him and I was really in a panic, and he was very calming and said, you know, okay, I'm on it. Went to the individual's place of residence, did a thorough investigation, didn't stop there, tracked her father, who was in an oncology unit in New York City, in a New York City hospital, to make the connection for me to talk to her father, because he respected HIPAA and her right to privacy, so that I was able to speak to her father and find out that she was in fact in a hospital and safe, and we were able to sleep that night. So, sir, you will always be a part of our CARA family. Thank you so much for your patience, your kindness, and your efforts. Thank you.
I do want to say thank you, and CARA has been such a big help in our profession. We have, we've worked very close together. I teach domestic violence at the academy, and I praise you guys to all the recruits. You do an amazing job, and I want to thank you for all you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
In addition to the plaque, you have a wonderful certificate, and it's really important that we are able to recognize instead of criticize in the current atmosphere that we have, and we definitely appreciate everything that you do for our survivors of domestic violence and sexual assault.
Thank you very much.
I will never forget your kindness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just take a short minute. Anybody wants to leave following that presentation before we resume back on the agenda? Someone shut that door, please. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, moving on. Correspondence. The H2O car rally, we received numerous emails and letters and calls. I'm sure we all have. My understanding is that there's there's some work going on to first of all acknowledge what happened that weekend, but also to see what we need to do via legislative action and or through local ordinances. It's my opinion is it's not just a municipal issue. It's probably a county, if not a statewide issue. So it's going to take a village, so to speak, to do what I think needs to be done. I'm trusting that public safety and is handling it. I know that Connie and Ron have already reached out to Ocean City, Maryland. I believe that was forwarded to their ordinances and their legislative action as well. So let's have it all come together. I don't know if anybody else has any further comments. I just think everyone just needs to be patient, allow us to work through the process, and put the action in place that hopefully can happen and needs to happen. Comments? Anybody? Commissioner?
We're good.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. First round of public comments. Start with anybody here in the audience. Have any public comments? Yes, sir. Name and address for the record, please.
Ernie Triano, 157 West Leading Avenue, Wildwood, New Jersey. I would just like to bring to the attention of this board, which I'm sure you're already aware of. A couple weeks ago, the H2O event that happened in Wildwood, we had a situation at Rio Grande Park Boulevard. A situation where an individual was severely injured by one of these fools hitting him in a golf cart. Guy was laying on the ground. The crowd, which was extremely large, swarmed around him like it was a sideshow. Police were there, Wildwood police, outnumbered. The fire department came on the scene, tried to treat him. These kids are just fools. The cameras and the threats that you can't touch me, I'm 16, it got real ugly, real fast, real bad. Your officers, your chief, your sergeant, your captain, your corporal, Plaza, D'Amico, Bobby Mulholland, Chief Lloyd, did an outstanding job. They came on scene. I can assure you that probably a couple of us would have been in jail for taking some of these kids out. Chief Lloyd and his guys took the scene over, squashed the crowds moving in, pushed them back, kept them at bay from us allowing our people to treat this guy who was severely injured. I just thought it was important that you come to. It's so easy to criticize these guys through the national papers and what have you, but be proud of the job they did. Without them there, it would have probably developed into something that would really would have turned in, made the accident look really secondary. I just want you to know the outstanding job they did. As we were there, the second incident where the girl was killed and the guy was killed in the car, that came in. We had to deplete our resources to the other situation, leaving us just with one police officer, one sheriff's department, and I'm sitting there looking at a street, Park Boulevard, that was just filled with probably 700-800 cars and some of the most foul-mouthed little punks that you ever saw in your life. And I reached out to our police officer and said, listen, we need some help here. I've been here my whole entire life. I've never seen anything like this. It's the first time that I'm concerned that we're going to lose a situation here. And again, these guys came back and secured the scene. So I just wanted to come here publicly, thank them for the job they did. As a former official, I know how important it is to recognize guys that did an outstanding job. And my hat's off to you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, on that note, so I just for the record, so I did also have, in my private sector work, I manage a lot of the community associations that have second homeowners. And, you hear a lot, they didn't like the burnouts, they didn't like the noise, but I did get a lot of positive comments on the fact that on various blocks, they did see our officers pulling over many of the same, those same folks, and issuing. I think Chief Lloyd gave us a report. We had 100 pullovers and 61 summonses issued. So obviously, that's going. Plus, we had our own event going on. So we had seafarers going on at the same time. Then we had our sign unveiling for the Alamino family, and then we had fireworks. So
And you had a concert.
And a concert.
and a concert going on at the same time. So congratulations, gentlemen. Pass that on to the rest of the department on behalf of the governing body. We appreciate it. And again, I want to make sure that everyone knows that, as Mr. Triano indicated, you're always going to hear the negative, but the positives, sometimes you need to hear that so that everyone doesn't think they didn't do things right. But it was a very hard event to manage, considering that every community had their own events going on at the same time, and then you had this craziness going on. But we'll work through it, and I have no doubt that we will. All right, anybody else? Anybody on the conference line have any public comments?
I do.
Okay, name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's well. This is Gail Kelly from 201 East Columbine Road. First, we're just checking in on how we're doing with the whole process. Second, what are the points that are still out there so we can better understand the process? We're all trying to be good citizens of Wildwood Crest, and we're trying to follow the laws of the town. Third, the issue has been addressed in a public matter, so what really are the issues and why does it appear to be such secrecy? We thought the solicitor is an agent of the town who works for the taxpayers, which I thought are us. And finally, the permit was given and our town ordinance was not being adhered to. So the question is, what is the borough doing moving forward to be proactive so that this doesn't happen again? None of us are really comfortable with all of this. Perhaps the town can maybe educate its employees through workshops, training, in-services periodically so that the people involved become more educated with the town building and land use ordinances. I understand we are trying to be very patient, but I guess we just don't, when it looks to us that it's so black and white, it just, we don't understand why it's still going on.
Okay, so when you say you're still going on, you're talking about a resolution or finality or closure?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolution, a closing, yes.
Okay, so as I've mentioned on previous
Maybe
occasions.
you're gonna say we're very near to being done, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah,
We're just
yeah,
checking in.
I'm pretty sure we've relayed that before, that this is a process. It's going to take some time. Do I feel confident that there will be a resolution at some point? I do. I don't think that anyone here on the dais, including our solicitor and our administration, doesn't believe there's going to be. There are a lot of moving targets, as I indicated. There's the potential for litigation, which is why you don't want to make statements or comments that could eventually be damaging to the municipality, of which you are a taxpayer and everybody else here is. So, again, I come back to the same comment. We need patience and cooperation. And when the time comes, we will certainly release and/or provide the information necessary to make sure that everyone's fully aware of what the finality and the closure will be, and when that will take place.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any other public comments? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Steve Tornowski. Actually, an inquiry. My name's Steve Tornowski. I have the property at 5401 Lake Road, and I sent an email question to the clerk. And I'm just wondering what could be done about the flooding at that corner at 5401 Lake Road. It's at the corner of Lake and Cressy, and the property across the street, the bulkhead just fails. And at a certain point, the tide comes up, and even though in the storm drains at Morning Glory and Cressy, well aware, it's been there, we've been there 22 years, that comes up and provides some minor flooding. But at certain storms, at certain tide heights, the property 5400 bulkhead is failing. And I sent videos to the clerk also of and the water is just bailing over that bulkhead, running down and filling up the street. And basically the street fills up to the level of the bay at that point, because bulkhead is just failing. And it creates a huge kind of safety issue I got a neighbor next door who has been taken out by the ambulance twice in the last 6 months. Neighbor across the street that's getting in brain surgery. Neighbor 2 doors down that's basically shackled to a wheelchair and disabled. And should something happen during one of these events, the emergency service can't get to there. And certainly the fire department can't get to there. The fire plug at my corner is under 2 feet of water during these events. And they happen like maybe 6 times a year. It's not the typical, storm sewer backup that happens, and why there's no gates on those storm sewers is a whole nother issue, and I know you're working on it. But the issue with 5400 and the bulkhead, water just pours over that bulkhead and fills up the street at certain tides.
I didn't get a chance to see your
Video
email yet.
I
Yeah.
did send them.
Okay.
I did forward
I
them
got
all.
2 of them.
Yep.
Okay.
She's seen
I
them.
did.
And the water, it's a torrent. It's like fire hydrant water coming down the driveway into the street. And the sewer, the sewer backup gets to a certain level.
Right.
And then this water just comes, and basically we're locked in our properties for 5-6 hours because
Waiting for the tide to go down.
It's on tide, slack tide, and the water's just pouring over this whole time because it's at the high tide, and then slack tide for an hour, and it's pouring, and then it starts going down and it's pouring. Then it sits, because it doesn't go down far enough for the storm sewers to actually, relieve everything.
Right.
So it's an exacerbation kind of compounding issue.
I did see
Along-
your video this morning.
Yeah.
I did watch it. I'm familiar with your situation.
Yeah.
It's funny you just mentioned it. Myself and our engineer are going out this week to examine every bulkhead.
Yeah.
So it's not just yours, it's everyone's, I believe. So
Well-
we're in that process of addressing it, and hopefully we
Perfect.
can get a solution to these
Yeah,
problems.
and just my observation, I mean, there are 20 houses along Lake Road that have bulkheads. And this is the only one that the water's pouring over, so, I got a response the other day saying, well, it's storms and that's happened. Well, the storms happen, 2 doors down, 3 doors down, 4 doors down, 5 doors down, and the water isn't pouring over those bulkheads. So it's something unique on this corner, at this bulkhead, that it is pouring over that corner.
Okay, so I think to previous meetings, we had actually discussed, there's a couple moving targets with the bulkhead. So there's ordinances that we're considering.
Right.
There's a capital project that talks about raising height of bulkheads, replacing bulkheads, capping off bulkheads, the tie flex valves that go through the bulkheads, street raising, pump stations. There's all of this in the mix, and it comes down to the dollars and cents of it all. So I think, to Commissioner Franco's point, he's going to meet directly and go out and see. Mark's office has already surveyed all the height of the bulkheads.
Right.
So it's been a process in the works, but there's
Right.
just, again, it comes down to the dollars, and we're just trying to figure out the steps to get, without whacking the tax rate, so to speak.
No, I
and
understand
costs
that.
And so forth, but addressing the ones that are the worst ones, if there is such a way, because once you address one, then the water's just gonna find and go to the next one, so it has to be a phased process.
Right, and I understand that, and I see the project is a 2028 kind of target, and that's what dismayed me when I was looking at it for the last couple
Right.
days. 2028, 6 more years, and 6 more years is kind of a lot to ask of a kind of entire
Yeah.
neighborhood to accept. The current, it's not new, it's the current performance of, whatever the performance standard is of the current bulkhead, it's failing, just like, if I had a sidewalk and it's failing, it needs to be repaired, or there has to be
Right.
maintenance. Whatever
He
the
says
current.
coming over top of the bulkhead.
5400 Park, he said.
Yeah.
5400 Lake.
So
my question is,
Yeah.
is the water coming through the bulkhead, like the
Both.
bulkhead's failed?
Both.
Or is it coming
Overhead.
So it's over the top, and yesterday, I'm not allowed, I don't trespass or anything, but you can walk right down at the end of Cressy and look, and the actual tide was below the bulkhead, but it was upwelling kind of on the back of the property and running into the end of Cressy right there. So it's both.
We'll forward you the videos that were forwarded
I
to
did.
everybody.
I sent
Oh, he has it too.
everybody.
I saw it this morning.
I forwarded it this morning when I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so, Mr. de Blasio and Commissioner Franco will take a look at it, and.
We have a road trip ahead of us, so we are addressing.
I appreciate it. You want to stop in? I'm at the red house on the corner there, and I'll be there, so we can stop in.
You're not the new house?
No. I've been there 20-some years. Carlson built the house. I bought it from Mrs. Carlson.
So you're not on the
2000.
water, you're
No,
across
across the
okay.
street,
Okay.
had the wall, the red house, fence, the whole thing.
Okay,
Okay?
all right, thank you for your
Thank you, sir.
patience.
Appreciate it.
Okay, anybody else here in the audience for public comments? Last call for on the call. Anybody have any public comments? Hearing none, under discussion, we have one item listed, and that's beach-related issues, so following up from a previous 2 meetings. So summer is officially over. We are in the planning stages for 2023. I think we all recognize that our beach is the number one, well, I'll say top 3 reasons, but in my opinion, it's number 1 reason why folks live here, buy here, rent here, vacation here, and all that good stuff. Our beach is our biggest asset, and I think that, we just wanted to just take this, what happened this year, what is it that we need to address going forward in 2023? So we had talked about a couple different things, stands, walkways, planks, beach boxes, signage. I'll start with the things that I'm aware of. So the beach bump outs. So we have there's 22 streets south of Rambler Road. Those access points, there's 10 of them done. There's 12 that need to be done. Mr. de Blasio's office is ready to go out to bid. We were awarded $2.5 million from Cape May County Open Spaces to hopefully start the project here in the fall or early winter to have all the rest of the streets done before the summer of 2023. The only holdup is we're working through some issues with the Wildwood Water Utility with regards to the foot shower connection, so hopefully we'll get that resolved in short order. Number two, the beach boxes. So beach boxes have been a tremendous success and a revenue source for the borough of Wildwood Crest. In an internal meeting with the Recreation Department, who oversees in conjunction with Public Works, the recommendation is to purchase 23 more boxes, which equates to 46 more doors for next year. And I believe that would, I think in the collective group's opinion, that's pretty much the max, I think, to Wildwood Crest. I think then that's it for beach boxes and any more purchases. So that's on the capital planning with for finance. There would potentially be a price increase for next year. I believe we're at $450, and it would be potentially increased to $480 as we discussed in the recommendation. And there's also a process that's going to be announced that will allow the Borough of Wildwood Crest residents opportunities to purchase before we open them up to the public as well. So there's announcements will be forthcoming. Signage. The biggest request that we've received is with relation to the smoking. As we all know, the state of New Jersey has made the beaches smoke-free, as well as the parks. Public Works, through the efforts of the Green Team, has 15 flags that basically say smoke-free beaches. Those banners are down at Public Works. We're looking to install them somewhere at the access points going down to the beach. Next year, I had asked Public Works to order some more and maybe potentially have some additional signage on the back of the porta pots and/or the trash cans. I don't think enforcing that, we would need a ton of the beach patrol guards aren't going to do that, obviously, and I don't think we'd have to triple our police force out there. So it's really going to be a awareness issue and a public relations campaign to get folks to understand that we don't want you smoking out on the beach and in the parks. So I don't know if there's anything additionally that can be done in that regard, but we're certainly open for ideas and suggestions. Walkways. So the wooden walkways that take you down to the beach, Public Works will be constructing some additional ones. This year we've added a tremendous amount of new extensions. The original ones that were placed over the years are starting to deteriorate. These are the ones that are just, when you come down the ramp, they are the ones that have been embedded in the sand for quite some time. The sand and the moisture has caused them to deteriorate, so we're going to replace those in time for 2023 as well. And that project is not a subcontracted out project. We don't go out to bid. The Public Works Department, to their credit, it's all hands on deck during the wintertime to build walkways like an assembly line, making them down at the garage. So that is also in the making. I think that pretty much covers anything. I don't know if there's anything. I know that Porta Pots this year has been, it's kind of crazy to talk about Porta Pots in relation to the beach, but the fact of the matter is those Porta Pots get a lot of use throughout the course of the summer. There were times this year that the Porta Pots were needed to be emptied in the middle of the day because they got that much use. So I'd rather have it in the porta pots, right, than in the ocean. So that's, I think that we're looking at an internal meeting to discuss additional cleanings, additional porta pots out on the beach. Yes, it does cost money, but I think if there's one thing that everybody wants is to have, safe, clean, and, convenient opportunities for folks to use the restroom. So look for that to also happen in 2023. So that's all I have as far as the beach end of the things that we talk about. Commissioners, feel free.
I think you touched on it for me, Mayor, on everything. I'm fine.
Good, thank you.
Anything? No? Okay. All right. And on that topic, I'll take any questions on that issue, any suggestions while we're talking about Beach 2023. Hearing none? Okay, we're going to move on to old business. Let's see. Flood mitigation we talked about. Dredging is in the works. Commissioner Schiff, anything on the beach patrol building?
Just waiting for the word to permit or not permit. I think we're pretty close to getting there. Mr. de Blasio has been very confident, and so is Connie. And we're looking to move forward as soon as we can.
Okay.
Ready to go. We get the call out of the bullpen, we'll be ready.
Thank you for your work, too.
All right, Kappa Permit, Mark, so we're still waiting on that determination before we file the 5 points. Okay, and I know our environmental consultant's offices has some work to do yet as well.
Yes, yeah.
All right, Preston Park, first stage for that, so Mark has been authorized today to start moving on, getting that project in motion. Phase 2 beach bump outs, I talked about, let's see, New Jersey Avenue infrastructure, so we still need to have a meeting on that. Reconstructing, Mark de Blasio and Superintendent Bond had a meeting yesterday for a reconstruction for many streets and potentially an application for a long-term, larger-scale street reconstruction plan. If anybody has, governing body, if anybody or the public, if you have any specific, there's a couple blocks that specifically with Farragut as an example, 300 block, where the roadway has potholes in it and it's collecting water. It's potentially dangerous. It just looks unsightly. It's not Wildwood Crest. Aesthetically pleasing. So I would recommend that, Mark, that we put together a plan to address that. But if there's anybody else that has any streets, I did ask Superintendent Bond to go through town as well. There's a couple of them that may potentially need some milling and paving to get us through for a couple years until we get a large-scale reconstruction plan going. But if anybody has any blocks, or if you're aware of any residents that need to have some, I'll call it a Band-Aid for lack of a better term, because if there's one thing for sure, we don't want nasty, ugly streets. We want them safe, we want them to look nice.
There's one spot, though, Sweetbriar and Park. I'm noticing there's a divot that's starting to get a little bit more deeper. I don't know if Chief feels that when he's driving down, but that's a bad spot.
A few sections of Park Boulevard that
Have that, but that's a bad one right there. We could look at that one. That would be great.
Sweetbriar,
Thank you.
Sweetbriar Park.
Yep.
Chief, do you have any more? Maybe if you could get together with your guys, or anything that they could use a milling and pave and a Band-Aid to make it look nice. If maybe they could report that as well to at least maybe Trish's office and or Connie, and we can get that going. But I think we need to look at all that. Anything, Mr. Franco? Okay. Line striping, pedestrian crosswalks, nothing. Pool roof and surfacing, that project's still in the works. Public Works, still in the works. Office, Borough Hall exterior and office moves. I think we're waiting on a report from Mark's office. Permanent pickleball courts, east side Wisteria. Superintendent Bond is working on that quote and working with Mark's office on that. Bayside outfalls, capacity bulkhead. So we just touched on that as well. So that's Commissioner Franco is working on that with Mark. EV charging stations. We did receive some grant money. Nothing happening on that. Open space, I believe there's a meeting with Mark and Connie tomorrow with respect to the open space application and how much money they are or are not going to.
We're trying to schedule that. Mark had conflict, so we're trying to get that scheduled for either tomorrow or Friday. It'll be a conference call to proceed through our pre-application meeting for the exterior improvements to the Crest Arts Pavilion.
Okay. Low-speed vehicle parking, anything on that? Anything needed on that? Chief?
we have a handful of them already in town.
Needed or not needed? Take it off or keep it on?
I don't see the need for it. I
No
think we
pressure,
already,
it's fine.
I mean, a low-speed vehicle can park in any parking spot. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we do have a couple of them situated throughout town where there was enough room for a smaller size parking spot. So we did put a handful of them in, and they are marked low-speed vehicle parking only.
All right.
But, I mean, you can park anywhere with let me rephrase that, you can park in any parking spot with a low-speed vehicle.
I would move to take that off.
Take it off?
Yes.
All right, take it off. Washington Seaview, that's still in the hands of Mr. Rotola, right? The
Well,
grant,
we
he's,
did receive the
this-
grant, so now we're in, there's planning to be done. This is a planning grant, so Mark's office is coordinating that
okay.
also.
Higby Field, bigger cutout for the infield, I believe, Assistant Superintendent Shear and Assistant Rec Supervisor Mr. Kniff are discussing putting plans in place for 2023, all right? Planters in lieu of barricades at Centennial Park, that's in the works for potentially for next year, right?
Yeah, my suggestion for that would be absolutely working with the chief, of course, but I don't think it's a wise idea, after speaking with Joe Bond, that we make them planners, because it's more work for, I would like to see a barrier of some sort, maybe somebody could sit down, instead of making it a planner to create
I think
more.
the suggestion was a seating area of some sort.
Yeah,
maybe.
something,
Right.
something similar to the current planners that we have, but seating rather than planning.
So Mr. de Blasio, so we have some we have some projects coming up in parks. Maybe that's something that we can do, build that into a bid spec as an add-on, or something that we can,
Sure.
What we're trying to avoid is putting those ugly barriers up. by
Jersey
Centen-
barriers,
Yeah,
the orange ones, right?
the orange ones, to take them out of the picture and create a better site down there. And that's on Centennial Park. I don't know if there's another park we have to worry about right now, is there? Another area?
That's the park that we tend to use the most and have the large events, which is, we have to make sure that it's secure, and that's why.
right, so the Preston Park project has some pavers in there, so maybe that paving project could be what's needed at Centennial Park to handle that, but also the Preston Park paver job, maybe that becomes one paver job. And use the
Okay.
same contractor and knock it out while we have a contractor in town. Okay. All right, so let's remove planters and and replace that with
Seating.
seating areas. Okay, that takes care of all the old business. Governing body, any thoughts on old business, new business, anything?
I hate to bring it up now, but I might as well just say it. And that was with the foot showers. I think the full body showers are using a lot of water. My concern there is, I would rather see a foot shower instead of the whole body shower. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. Maybe to conserve water. Just your thoughts, that's all.
Okay, so I think the spec was originally based off of Rambler Road for the rest of the bump outs. And the borough is receiving ADA money and DCA money that's specific to making these handicapped accessible. And I believe the county open space, also there's an element of the open space for that potentially as well. So I'm not familiar with the details, but I would think it would be something that we should, we can certainly check on to see if that is an issue.
Rambler Road was funded that way through ADA, so that's why they're the taller ones for ADA accessibility. But the Cape May County Open Space 11 we're about to do with the money the $2.5 million that we received for the 11 bump outs. I'm not sure if that included ADA requirements for those. Well, Mark and I can look at the application and then speak with Cape May County Open Spaces to see if that is a requirement. I'm sure it would be encouraged, but maybe not be a requirement. To be
I also
ADA
like
accessible.
Sorry, Connie, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No.
To possibly tweak the splash park times. I know we had discussions prior to the summer. I think with the cost of water and the possible sale of bottled water, I think it's something that we should address in the future for next summer. I think sometimes it runs and runs and there's no one around. So the rec would probably be able to weigh in on this better, but I think that needs to be addressed.
Maybe I think that's a good point, because I walk by that when I'm going to work all the time, and it is running, and it's a lot of money for us, and nobody's in it or sitting in it, and it's still running.
Yeah, just to confirm, Superintendent Shear, what's the timing, what's the program when someone depresses that button? What's,
Cycle?
yeah, what's the cycle, runtime?
Cycle's probably about 25 seconds, 20 to 25 seconds.
Before it shuts off?
Yep.
25
Per,
seconds?
per unit,
Yeah.
you mean, right? Per feature, because each, there's what, 7 or 8 features
Yeah,
in the splash.
there's 3 different buttons on there.
So what's the total runtime then?
8 minutes.
8 minutes?
I think it's about 8 minutes.
You talking about Splash Park, or you talking about the foot showers?
No, Splash
Splash
Park.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah,
We switched it up, sorry.
Yeah,
I think it was 25
7 to 9 minutes. I'm sorry, I thought you were talking about the foot
Eight,
showers.
it's supposed to be 8 minutes, so you push the button.
Okay, 8 minutes. And do you
and it's
know if
on
that can
demand.
be reduced at all?
Yes.
Yes, it can be.
Okay. So I just want everyone to think about that, because if listen, the peak summertime when it's hot, that's one thing, and the off-season, that's another time frame. So but if we can cut back on the runtime, I think when you see it running and there's nobody there, somebody's running by and they're hitting the button, and it may stay there for a minute, and then they take off. So I just, to the runtimes, perhaps, maybe certainly in the off-season for sure, could be cut back.
I think the shorter seasons, I think that would probably be the best solution, but we can address the whole summer if need be.
All right, could Recreation and or Public Works, make a recommendation, maybe 1 hour on all that?
And look at the nighttime too, because people are hitting it at night and there's nobody in there, so maybe we could shut it off at a certain time there. That might help us.
It does have a timer to shut off.
I know it doesn't go on until 10 in the morning, correct?
10 a.m. and we've adjusted that hours to shut off at 7 p.m. We reduced it as the season progresses.
It's running now though, right? If I go over there, it would run. That might be something to look at too, there's nobody around.
If you hit the button.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
10 to 6 right now. Actually, the whole thing's gonna be winterized, I believe, on the 18th.
That will solve the problem, thank you.
Okay, I will say though, despite all that Splash Park, when I look at social media and I see the coverage going on in New Jersey and the comments from, it is so well used by grandparents and parents and just anyone in general. It's just it's a really nice park. Superintendent, share one more comment on the Sunrise Park. The surfacing. Superintendent Bond is going to be working on that, so could you guys make sure that's in the radar as far as the surfacing, getting that redone? I know there are a couple areas it's starting to peel up, I think, with the water and the moisture getting underneath it and coming up. I think that there was a discussion on find out who the vendor is at the water parks up on the boardwalk and find out who did theirs, because they apparently found a really good solution where the paint doesn't come up. Thank you, Assistant Superintendent Shear. Appreciate it. Okay, that brings us to our last round of public comments. We'll start with anybody here in the room. Anybody on the conference line have a last round of public comments? All right, Commissioner comments.
Don't steal my stuff.
No, nobody steal my stuff. Just a quick comment. The Federal Reserve raised benchmark interest rates by another 0.75 percentage point last month, indicating it will keep hiking well above the current level, which is 3 to 3.25%, the highest rate since 2008. Fed officials signaled the intentions of continuing to hike rates until the funds level hits a terminal rate, or the endpoint of 4.6 in 2023. With 0 decreases in sight. Wildwood Crest was able to lock in a rate under 3% is largely due to our CFO and finance department. Looking at a rate that is less than 3% will save the borough a substantial amount of money. The work done by the finance department isn't the most glamorous, but is extremely critical to the success of the borough. And on behalf of myself and my fellow commissioners, I say congratulations on that. Thanks.
You took my line. That's exactly what I was going to say. They do a great job up there. I think our whole borough works very well together. And it's good that I'm happy to be having conversations like this, and voicing our opinion. I'm up here and I'm always praising, like I feel like the police and rescue and fire was on the scene too for that event that happened in Wildwood. We work well together. And we have a good commission, and I'm just happy to be a part of it. But we have a great force of people here that make everything work and make it easy for you to drive down the street, and it works well. So thank you to all.
Okay, well, I guess, listen, I would be remiss if I didn't, the best departments in the municipality are recreation and public works. They make it all happen here, and what you see, the beach, the parks, everything, all the events, they work from sun up to sundown, but, I'm saying that jokingly, but, yeah, it's good. Listen, at the end of the day, it takes a village to have a great municipality. We're going to work through our issues. We're not always going to agree. We're sometimes going to have to agree to disagree. But at the end of the day, we're all working in the benefit of the taxpayers to improve the town while keeping things stable. So these conversations are always taken into consideration, anything that we have internally. At the end of the day, we put it behind us and we move on. That said, Crest Best Run Fest is this weekend, so I believe the police have already issued a traffic notices and where the routes are going to go. So the smaller route, the 5K, is on Saturday, so that's going to go around the lakefront. Sundays, longer events, so the bridge will be closed in the morning till I think 10:30 or so, around that time frame. And there are going to be certain sections as the county is working on their Pacific Avenue roadway south of St. Louis. They're going to be navigating around some of that construction and the materials and the supplies. The next meeting, borough meeting, I believe, Madam Clerk, is a Saturday morning. Usually our second meeting is
On Saturday.
I'm sorry, a Wednesday morning. It's usually a Wednesday night, but it's going to be in the morning, I guess is what I'm
It
trying
is
to
at
say.
9:30 on the
Right?
26th.
9:30 on 10/26. Okay, right? 10/26, 9:30.
That is correct, sir.
Gotcha. I remember.
Next Saturday.
Not a Saturday. Although Saturday meetings aren't a bad idea.
Yeah.
All right.
Agreed.
Anybody else have anything for the good of the order?
No, sir.
Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion?
Will I get it?
Oh.
Like a communication about your field trip today? Or do I come
It's
back
this
to
week. We weren't 100% locked in on
Okay.
date yet, but
So-
it's good to have.
Or
Yeah,
I come back to the next
I could
meeting?
give you my card. We
Okay.
could touch base after the meeting if you want.
If you have lunch provided, I'm sure they can stop by.
I got 2 boxes each. Come on over.
I'll give you my card after we could touch
Motion
base.
by Commissioner Schiff,
Can I get a second?
A second.
second by
All in
Commissioner
favor?
Franco.